Hi guys, Anton here from Adventure Africa, and we're here at Hall Speed in Midrand today, chatting to Henk Lategan after his first tryouts in the Dakar year in 2021. Henk, how does it feel to be back? How's the shoulder?
Feels good to be back. It feels a little surreal though. It was a lot of preparation before Dakar, and then at Dakar there's so many things happening, and it's so well organized for you. Your whole day is set out almost to the minute, and then you come back here and normal life resumes, and it's a bit of a strange feeling. It's taking some time to get back into it, but yeah, no, it's nice to be back. Nice to be back home, see the family and everyone. The shoulder's feeling okay. Still getting it checked out. I went for an MRI this morning, so they're checking that everything's okay, but it doesn't feel too bad to me.
So what did you do to mentally get ready for the Dakar, and how did you prepare leading up to the start?
This year for me was quite difficult to prepare mentally, especially. We had no clue what was coming our way. I've never competed in a race outside of South Africa in cross-country racing. So we knew there was a few different things that we had to prepare for, but that there's no way for you to get into sort of competition mode where you're racing on waypoints, or you're doing desert racing, or you're spending, let's say, 4 or 5 hours in the car one go. So it was really difficult mentally to know what to do. I mean, there's also a lot of things around the race, not just the actual driving. There's what you need to eat, how you should sleep, when you should sleep, everything to do around the car. I mean, they had like physios there that we could go to every day. So you have a broad idea of what's coming your way, but there's no way you could actually prepare for it properly unless you've been there once or twice.
We saw in the early stages that you seemed to struggle a bit, but then all of a sudden it's like you found your groove. Where was that turning point when you suddenly things started clicking and you just went?
I think from the outside it looks like we all of a sudden switched on or something happened, but to be honest, inside the car we changed absolutely nothing from day 1 to day 5 where we ended the race. But I think the big thing was, like I said, we had no way of preparing for everything that's coming our way, and it came our way really quickly. So start of stage 1 was the first time we were racing on waypoints. They gave us the road book 15 minutes before. It's on an iPad, so that's something new for Brett. And we got lost on the first waypoint. So if you go and we look back at the times a little bit. Waypoint 1, we lost 10 minutes in stage 1. Waypoint 2, stage 1, we were quickest overall by 20 seconds. So the pace, we never switched anything on or off, and we never changed our pace. I was driving similar to what I was driving here. And I think it just didn't show for day 1. We were getting horribly lost, and it was very difficult on the navigation. I mean, even a guy like Carlos Sainz got lost a lot, and it's unusual for those type of guys to get lost that much. So it was very difficult, especially, like I said, day 1. We got lost a few times after that. You can go and see it on the splits. You definitely can see where we were completely off it. And then day 2 was the first dunes, and I remember thinking before, I just mustn't get stuck on the first one. And that's exactly what happened. So we were coming up to the first dunes, that I think it must be the nerves or something, but we got stuck at the top of the very first dune. And from there, it sort of just snowballs. Like I said, there's so many things being thrown at you, and once you make one mistake, it turns into a lot of mistakes really quickly. So we got stuck on the first dune. Then, because we were driving around to try and get over the dune, we added some distance. So by the time we were supposed to find the first waypoint, it didn't come up. So we turned back, went through all the dunes again to try and find the waypoint. There was trucks coming from the front. It was madness. And then after we crossed all those dunes, we went back across all the dunes because we saw, okay, we didn't get the waypoint, and probably 200 meters from where we turned around, the waypoint came up. The spot where we got stuck, was not so easy because we were in sort of a little bowl. It took us about 8 minutes to get out of there. Brett has to jump out and get the sand ladders, and we have to jack up with the car and drop the car, and then eventually get off the dune, and Brett has to run back with the sand ladders, put them back on, and get back in the car. So it takes some time. So yeah, the first 8 minutes we lost actually getting stuck, and then the next 12 minutes we lost by trying to find the first waypoint. And then after that, started going all right. So yeah, that was only like first waypoint of stage 2. So we learned so much in the beginning that we could at least take all the lessons we were learning to day 3 and day 4 and through the rest of the race.
You guys did a lot of testings with the vehicle in the Namib and in the Kalahari. I think you guys go to Grootpan or something like that. How does the sand differ there from here? Is there a difference? Is it a different type of desert that you guys are driving in?
Yeah, there's a big difference in the layer of the land and how the dunes form in different areas. To be honest with you, I don't know it well enough to pick up those small differences. I think the guys like Nasser and Janil have a much better feeling of how the dunes are formed in different areas. At this stage, I just arrive somewhere, see a big dune and go flat out up it. So I still have a lot to learn in that sense. But yeah, the landscapes in Saudi are crazy. I've never seen anything like it here. It's very different to probably anything you'll find around here or Namibia or any of the neighboring countries. And I think a big part of it is because they have very little rain. So it's weird to see they have flat sand, this massive flat open area, and then a massive mountain that comes straight out of it. And there's no water erosion, there's no rivers, no like small mounds that form. It's weird. It doesn't look natural, all of it. It's these weird places that you get into.
Almost foreign.
Yeah, very. So it's that side, I think, that's one of the things I know we have to go and learn a lot about if we want to be competitive going forward. And it's something that unfortunately I don't think you'll be able to learn as easily around here.
What was the biggest highlight for you of this race?
Difficult to say. Like I said, when you go in there, it's all a blur. Like you arrive there, and the first few days were quite relaxed because we were in quarantine, and then it all kicked off. And you going flat out from the morning when you wake up, you're prepping to get into the car, you get in the car, go to the stage, come back, and everything just happens so quickly after that by the time you get to bed, I haven't even spoken to my wife or whatever. So it goes by so quickly, so it's very difficult to go and pinpoint the moments. And yeah, to be honest, I think some of the best moments for me was probably in some of the stages. I mean, like stage 2, even stage 1, the end of stage 1. I love driving. I just love driving the car, and when I have a really nice road, then that's the best for me. So
do you always have to be flat out, or is cruising also okay?
No, there's a moment, like it's a feeling when you know that everything's going well. It's not taking effort, but you're going quickly and everything is in control. So there was a lot of those moments in the race where you're coming through the most beautiful landscapes in one of the best cars in the world, and you get to just drive it like you want it. So that was really awesome. And we had a lot of moments where like you almost feel like starting to giggle in the car because it's just so much fun throwing the car sideways over crests and jumps and things. I remember I think it was stage 3 or 4 where you're coming through these massive valleys and there's these small dunes coming around corners, and we'd go in there 5th gear, pitch the car sideways and just fly, and then you'll land it in that slide and carry on driving. I was having the best time ever. So those moments were amazing for me. I loved driving the car. And I remember coming to the end of stage 3, and the TV crew came up and they asked me a few questions, and they were saying, I had the feeling that we did well in the stage because they all of a sudden rushed up. But I mean, that wasn't really what counted, the time or where we ended the stage. I was having a blast. Honestly, I was having so much fun in the stage. So that's what I really loved about it. There was those small special moments in every stage that really made it enjoyable.
You mentioned earlier you guys got the route directions or guides just about 15 minutes before getting into the vehicle. Do you think that affected, or it had an effect on your accident that you had? The fact that you weren't really prepared and your co-pilot basically, or your navigator basically wasn't prepared for this ditch that was coming up, because I believe it said it was a double caution, and apparently it was a little bit worse than a double caution.
Yeah, I don't know if it would have affected the crash. Definitely it affected us throughout the race, and I think it affected everyone more than what was expected.
Because it was the first year that all of a sudden they're giving it 15 minutes beforehand. Previously it was done the day before at least.
Yeah, and I think that's a big movement from the organizers to stop people actually preparing for the route, because some people have more information coming from different angles than other people. So they wanted to make it fair, and I think in doing that they made it a lot more difficult than they actually expected. So it was a lot easier to get lost and to be off the road book, and that's maybe what contributed to the end of at the end of the day to the crash. It's not that the marking, we can always argue about that, but I mean there are thousands of pictures and instructions in a road book for every stage, and you're doing thousands of kilometers, and if let's say even 5% of them are not exactly right, there's hundreds of places you can end your race. So I don't think the actual picture being wrong is what caused it. I mean, we have to go through a race, whether the picture is right or not, you have to drive on what you see. I think there was a few factors. We were a bit flustered, and like I said, you're not always sure if you're actually on the road book. I mean, in stage one, we were going off on our own mission for probably 5 kilometers in the wrong direction. I was loving it. It was a beautiful road, but it wasn't the road we were supposed to be racing on. So and then you turn around, you're going back, and you realize, okay, there was no tracks. And the next time you see there's no tracks, you turn around a lot quicker. So things like that we were learning, and this was us being, I think we were third on the road at that stage. So there aren't a lot of tracks. You're not sure if you're on the road. And this particular area, we came out of a very fast, open flowing section, 6th gear, 5th gear most of the time. And then all of a sudden we went into a canyon with a river. And it was very unclear, should you be in the river or on the top of the canyon, and there was another step as well. I mean, Carlos Sainz came past us, he was in the river. We were at the top, and the instructions said double caution dip, but it was coming up to it, and I watched videos from other guys as well. It's very difficult to see the actual dip because there's these white loose stones, and the track is very vague. And then there was a small bump, and another bump at the other side, but in between this bump was a massive rut. I mean, there was 3 photographers standing in it, and I couldn't see them coming up to it. So yeah, it was a bit of a strange area, and the road just went like right left, and the dip was on the right, and we came up to it in 6th gear flat out, and by the time I saw the rut, it was too late to turn the car to stop. So I braked as much as I could, slow the car down. And as we went over the rut, I accelerated to lift the nose. The nose just hit, ripped the steering off my hands, and then the back of the car bottomed, and we went end over. So that was the end of it. So it's such a strange place, and all of a sudden, I mean, you saw the rut, and then the race is over. So it's, like I said, it's one of those things. There's thousands and thousands of instructions in the race, and just one of them can end your race, whether it's right or wrong. I mean, everybody else has to go over it. It's part of Dakar.
So what is the key thing that you have learned from the Dakar, and what will you change if you go back next year?
The key thing, I think one of the things I've learned is, and I think this was a surprise to a lot of people, and especially to myself, is that our pace is actually okay. So, and that I didn't expect. I didn't expect to go there and to drive at our sort of normal pace we drive here, and we were actually able to sort of stay with the top guys. which was really a surprise, and it's good. It's something good to know. So I know we don't have to take more risks. We don't have to push harder. But I did learn that it's a massive race, and it's massively different to anything we're doing here. So if we do want to go out there and be competitive one day, and I really do, we'll have the discussion with everyone involved, with Toyota, with Clint and everyone. But we'd have to change some of the ways we're preparing for the race. I don't know if it's possible. Obviously, everything costs money, and racing costs a lot of money. But I'm really motivated after that. I mean, yeah, we are motivated as ever. And to be honest with you, going into it, I was still a little bit unsure because, I mean, I came from rallying and I had a bit of a career going. We were racing for a works team, and then one day, sort of the rug got pulled out from under our feet. So you do come back to reality quickly then, and I realized life wasn't all about racing. So I started working as well, so there's that side. And this Dakar was it was a massive opportunity, and we knew what we were getting into. But for myself and mentally, I think it was sort of to see, is this what I want to do, or do I want, I mean, obviously everybody wants to go and drive Dakar. It's amazing. I'd always want to go back and drive it, but I think the decision you make when you decide, okay, I want to go and compete, that's something else. So this year was to go and see, to experience, and to make the decision. So from my side, the decision was made. So now we have to go and speak to all the people involved and see what is possible and how can we best prepare for next year.
So here's the last question now. You're still a youngster. I mean, I think you were one of the younger guys that was competing in the Dakar. If someone told you 3 years ago, 2 years ago, in 2021, you're going to be competing in the Dakar against guys like Carlos Sainz, Peter Hansel, have Nasser as one of your team guys, would you have believed it?
Well, that's actually sort of what happened. So 3 years ago, I started racing with Toyota, and the discussion, even before I set foot in the car, was exactly that. So it was quite a hectic interview. It lasted an hour and 15 minutes, and I was just being drilled by these guys, like asking all these questions about social media and if I wanted to do it and am I serious enough and all this sort of thing. So the road, or the vague roadmap, was set out back then, saying it is a long-term plan, and they would like to take a South African to Dakar. So the plan was sort of set out from then, and I had this idea that one day I would go to Dakar, but when reality hit, it was completely different. It was very different to what you'd expect. I know, like, you get told something and you think, okay, we'll get there, but when it actually happened, it was unreal. It wasn't something you can imagine. I couldn't even imagine it when they told me it back then. So reality is so much different to like, I mean, all the stories as well from everybody telling you. It's really something you have to go and experience for yourself. It's mad.
Unfortunately, we don't have the driving skills you have, so maybe I can ride shotgun one day.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, you can come with, I'm sure, one of the tests we can go for a spin.
Well done. Next time, watch out for the ditches.
Yeah.
And good luck with the shoulder. All the best for this year, huh?
Thank you.
Cheers.
Sure. Cheers.